Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa. Wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. قال تعالى: إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Welcome to day 21, the Viral Spirituality Bites. Last time we had left off discussing some of the harms of social media. And I wanted to finish off that discussion today and then add kind of like an advanced topic about the intention, and then sort of summarize some of the discussion that we had about the intention, since it spanned a few sessions and is very important, then move on to Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, and then the inner dimensions of fasting, time permitting, inshallah. So, to summarize some of the harms of social media, we mentioned the fact that when you look at other people's lives and you compare yourself, which is inevitable when you see other people, one of two things can happen. Number one, if you perceive yourself to be quote unquote better than them in terms of their life, in terms of their possessions, in terms of their looks, in terms of their family, in terms of all these different things, we will become proud and we will look down upon them. And that is one of the fatal spiritual diseases. On the other hand, if we perceive ourselves to be better than them, worse off than them. For example, we may have a worse car, we may have a quote unquote worse family. I mean, this is all, of course, perceived. And only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who has something that's better or worse. But these are all things that shaitan will bring up in our minds. Then we will become jealous. And jealousy is also one of the major spiritual diseases, the carnal sins, as they call them, right? And this is what causes people to start doing things to try to bring the other person down. They might make dua against them. They might try to indulge in things that amount to kufr eventually, such as trying to have someone perform black magic on them. Right? Or even if they don't do any of these things, it incurs a level of attention that is bad. Like they call it nadhar, right? Al-ainu haqq in the hadith comes that the eye, like the evil eye, is true. It's real, has a reality to it. Although many people, especially in our cultures, they overdo it, right? They think that everything is nadhar and everything is a problem. But so the way you get out of that is that you say MashaAllah. Anytime something good, you see something good that you like, that is beautiful, you say MashaAllah. And that is the thing that will remove the nadhar. So number two is, when you see the other people's lives and you only see the shiny parts of them, right? The parts that they let you see, the very carefully filtered and curated, right, view of their life that they let you see, you will become ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you will compare your regular life to their highly curated version of their life. And if you go on, let's say you're a professional, you go on to LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is one of those professional networks, and you read through the resume of, or the profile of someone that you know, right, like your coworker, etc., and you were to actually believe what they write, mashallah, I mean, you would think he's one of the best professionals in that field, right? Because what do? They embellish every single thing that they write on there. They try to paint themselves in the best possible light. They'll hire people to, make their resume better. They will, have people correct the English. They will have people write better sentences for them. They will take one project that was an utter failure and present it in a way that was completely successful. And if you look at the profile pictures, and I'm addressing the sisters in particular because I hope the men would not do this, or at least not for the women. Look at someone's profile picture on WhatsApp or anywhere else and compare that to how the person really looks in real life. Obviously, they're going to post the best possible picture. And sometimes it's very surprising because the picture will be something from like 10, 20 years ago, right? When they were in the peak of their youth and they were like a bucking young lad or a, beautiful young woman. It's like they're living in a fantasy world and they want everyone to perceive that they are in that fantasy world itself. In fact, one of the interesting things that one of these economists from Freakonomics, uh, he did a careful research on the profiles of people on these dating websites. Right? May Allah save us from those things. And he mentioned, how there was a very large disconnect between the kind of people that are really out there versus the kind of people that they post themselves to be. For example, a large number of women said that they were blonde in their profile, right? Which is much larger than the actual percentage of women out there that are actually blonde. So either there's a lot of bleaching going on, right, and dyeing, or they're just lying. And his hunch was that it was the latter. There's also something called a selection bias, in which, let's say, that only the blondes are more likely to create profiles. That's also true as well. So you may find an argument against that as well, though. Number three, it creates a false sense of reality. It essentially makes you look like everything is always picture perfect, whereas we know that that is far from the reality of life. It's like they had this issue against the Barbie doll, right? In that they said it created a false sense of what a woman's body should be like amongst the girls that played with them, right? It has to have like this hourglass figure and, so on and so forth. So when you keep pushing these images of what beauty is supposed to be like, in magazine covers, obviously they'll never post a picture of a person that's, not so good looking on there. So you always start thinking that everyone has perfect skin and everyone has, no blemishes and everyone is super duper thin and has an hourglass figure. And it creates this false sense of what you think your body should look like. And it's very unhealthy. It creates anorexia, it creates all sorts of issues, self-esteem issues. And that's number four. It causes one to determine their self-esteem based on what people say. So for example, if you make a post on some public website and it gets like 10 likes, and your friend puts something out there and they get 15,000 likes, you think, oh, I'm a much worse person than him. People like him much more than they like me. Right? Or if you get, na'udhu like, 1,000 dislikes, thumbs down, and your friend only gets two, think, man, people really hate me. Whereas that's absolutely not true, right? I mean, people's opinions that they voice on the internet are usually far from reality. And essentially, it should matter to you what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thinks of you. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the proverbial thumbs up, It doesn't matter how many people give you a thumbs down. Who cares? That's what matters at the end of the day. That's the only thing that matters. Number 5, one can no longer enjoy private moments of life without sharing them with the world. If I see a beautiful sunset, I should say Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah. What a beautiful world Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, and look at it as a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Instead, most people are rushing to find their best camera to take a picture and show everyone what a nice sunset they saw. Can't you just enjoy it by yourself and have it as a private moment between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Can you enjoy that ice cream that you had without sharing it on your Instagram or on your Snapchat or on your WhatsApp? Why not? This is how life used to be, and this is the way life ought to be. People shouldn't be seeing every single thing that you eat or every beautiful view that you see in the world. That's for you to enjoy. So then you become this, you get this kind of mental idea that everything that I enjoy in life needs to be shared and shown to everyone so that they have an idea of how great my life is. Number 6, it exposes one to the judgment of very unforgiving people. Right? Of people in general, and people are very unforgiving. You are playing to a very tough crowd. Can never win. Number 7, it causes one to lose focus on what is important in life. You start thinking that all this hoo-ha and pictures and posts and videos and audios are what's important in life, and people's adoration and likes and views and are what's important. And instead you should be focusing on how many likes you're getting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to put it that way. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes you and the entire creation hates you, their hating doesn't harm you in any single way. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a bad relationship with you, in other words, you have a bad relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have the best relationship with the people, that will not benefit you on the Day of Judgment. You're in for a very nasty surprise. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to focus on what's important. They say that it's possible to live in this world but not be of it. Right? And it's possible to be outside of this world but to be completely of it. I'll give you a story that people share. This brother I know, he traveled to Jordan and he wanted to go meet a Bedouin, a person that lived in the desert. So he went there. He finally found this Bedouin that he was looking for. And when he came to him, the Bedouin asked him, in his, I guess his Arabic, that, oh, where are you from? That I'm from America. Oh, okay. Do you know this pop star? Do you know this Hollywood star? Do you know this Hollywood star? Do you know this singer? And my friend was shocked. And that this person living out in the desert, he wanted to meet someone that was pure and of the desert. Instead, he was concerned with all these things that he was seeing on his phone. And my friend, mashallah, he was striving to gain his connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had no idea who these people were. So while living in America, he had no idea who these celebrities were. And this person living in the desert, in the proverbial cave, so to speak, was completely immersed in all this foolishness. We have to establish this cave, right? That our kahf, our own personal kahf, in which we live in this world, but we're actually not, quote unquote, completely immersed in it in a bad way. Yes, we have to do our part in the world. We have to earn an honest living. We have a family. We have commitments and a certain amount of socialization, but we shouldn't be completely stuck and immersed in it and have it in our hearts, essentially. So now moving on, we're going to pivot here, sort of not pivot, but kind of reorient ourselves and say we went off on a tangent about sincerity, and then from there we jumped to the harms of social media, especially on the impact that it has on our sincerity. Actually, before that, I mentioned that we were going to cover an advanced topic about intention and insincerity, which is the fact that many people, when they hear about these things about intention and how hard it is to make a sincere intention, they get very concerned and they start almost to the point of giving up and say, my intention is so impure, how am I ever going to purify it, and how is anything ever going to be accepted? And I remember this humble slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also had this concern at one stage, and I still have this concern, of course. And I went to this scholar that was visiting and I asked him, said, I'm doing this good deed and I'm hoping that it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I feel like I'm insincere in it. And he said, may Allah bless him, that itself is a mark of sincerity. That itself is a mark of sincerity. What he meant was the fact that you're concerned about your intention means that you're sincere. So glad tidings to those people that are concerned about their sincerity, right? They actually think about the fact that, oh, I wonder if Allah's going to accept this. I wonder if it was done properly. I wonder if I had the right intention. If you have that aspect, inshallah, you can hope that that is a sign of sincerity. The fact that you're worried about sincerity. People that are insincere are not worried about their sincerity. I'll tell you that much. Maulana Ilyas, the founder of the Tabligh movement, he said that he was also concerned about this aspect. There's this idea in our deen of something called istidraj. Istidraj is where apparently Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is opening up the doors of everything, but it's actually just like He's giving you leash, basically. To say, oh, you're doing this bad thing, okay, keep doing it. You're doing this thing insincerely, okay, keep doing it, then I'll grab you all of a sudden on the day of judgment. So we should always be afraid of that as well. He mentioned that, obviously the work of Tabligh was opening up at his hands, and he was concerned about it at the same time. He said, I fear that it is istidraj. And his sheikh told him, the scholar told him, that the fact that you fear this means that it's not istidraj. Istidraj is this idea where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is letting things open up for you and actually it's not being accepted. So he said, the fact that you're afraid that it's istidraj means that it's not istidraj. With that, we're going to finally pivot. Apologize. Imam Ghazali, born in 450 Hijri, passed away 505 Hijri. MashaAllah, only 55 years of his Mubarak life. Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, and the reason why we're covering Imam Ibn al-Jawzi is because he's the one that summarized the Ihya Ulumuddin, one of the summaries of it, called Minhaj al-Qasidin wa Mufid al-Sadiqin. Imam Ghazali's book is a very large, voluminous book. It's about 10 volumes as per one print, or 9 volumes, if you don't count the one that just talks about the book itself in there. And Imam Ibn al-Jawzi was born in 509, 510 Hijri. So he just missed Imam Ghazali, actually. And he passed away in 597 Hijri. He had a longer life than Imam Ghazali. So they were almost contemporaries, and by that time, Imam Ghazali's book had become very popular. So Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, for other reasons as well, some people criticized Imam Ghazali's book to say that it had a lot of weak or some fabricated ahadith in there. And if you look at it, the ahadith scholars say that if it is permissible to use weak ahadith to prove fada'il, to prove the virtues of some deeds that are already established in the deen. So if Imam Ghazali used weak hadith, that's okay, as long as he wasn't establishing anything new in the deen, and he wasn't. He was basically talking about the spiritual aspects of deen, etc. So, but Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, he decided that he was going to take a more rigorous approach as well in terms of hadith, because he was a great hadith scholar as well, very, very well respected. And we'll cover more details of his biography next time, inshallah. So the book that he produced was A, he was summarized, and B, it had paid careful attention to having more sahih ahadith in there than Imam Ghazali's book. So we'll stop over there, inshallah. We'll continue next time. Please make sure you make dua for this needy slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil